What advice do you have for founders? Just major advice, because it seems like a lot of people. So yes, they're getting like a lot of funding within Nigeria. But excellent, discouraged and we just want to just pack up our bags, do their stuff, another country. So what advice do you have for founders?
Thanks for the question. Nigeria is generally riddled with a plethora of challenges, and it will take a deliberate effort from each and every one of us to solve these challenges. Even if there's currently a sort of assumption that there's a bandwagon movement of everyone going to fintech or certain sectors that are receiving the most funding, what I tell everyone is that we still need a lot more stuff. We still need many more solutions. We still need many more products and services to be developed. To solve these problems, we require solutions, and we require solutions from Nigerians, we require solutions from Africans to solve these problems. So what I tell people is that keep building, and if you're scared and you're anxious, then build scared and build anxious. But eventually, you will succeed. It's not taking a day for any of these startups. A lot of them were founded maybe last year, 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But here they are now. They've gone on to raise follow-on funding. They've received funding from Google, but they're also receiving mentorship training and technological support from the likes of Google. So even if you're building now, build with a plan, build to solve the problems that Nigeria is riddled with, and eventually you will scale.
So what are the sectors that show opportunity? And I ask you because you've gone through and seen several stuff. So what are the sectors that show opportunity?
The top thriving sectors at the moment are also modeled after the nature of the Nigerian economy or the Nigerian socio-political or socio-economic environment at the moment. So we're seeing the likes of fintech thrive because we're looking for a greater drive for inclusion, financial inclusion for the unserved and the underserved. We're seeing health tech also thrive because we cannot leave these things to the public sector. It requires private sector intervention as well. We're seeing ed tech also thrive. Why? Because of the same public and private sector conversation. Why? Because to reach the underserved, it takes a deliberate effort from everyone. It takes building technologies that address the nascent needs or the peculiar needs of the underserved. But it also takes, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Anyway, I'll take a step back. Okay. What are the thriving, okay. So the thriving sectors that we're seeing model after the socio-economic and socio-political landscape of the country. So at the moment, we're seeing fintech, for example, thrive because of the drive for financial inclusion with the unserved and underserved markets. We're seeing health tech and healthcare thrive as well because we cannot leave the solutions to just the public sector. These things require private sector intervention just as much as they require public sector support. We're seeing the likes of EdTech also thrive. We're seeing the likes of mobility thrive. Why? Because last mile is very important. Last mile plays a major role in financial inclusion. Access to service, access to credits are also being solved by these startups, and we're also seeing them thrive. But my biggest thing with this is that those are not the sectors or the only sectors that should be focused on or the only verticals that should be focused on. It's these and more. Because again, we are riddled with a plethora of challenges that require a plethora of solutions to address them.
Thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your day.
How is it going to affect African startups? I think it's a global phenomenon, but it being a global phenomenon doesn't always take out the fact that whenever there's economic crisis globally, there's also opportunity for ideas that can help economies build up. And I think what's unique about what we're building in Africa is they're localized. Right? When you look at what startups are building in the West, they're quite futuristic. They're things that may not see proper application in like 3, 4, 5 years, but they are the future. So the world is able to pause on some of those things because there's a global economic downturn. But in a place like Nigeria, recovery is going to be everything that people are saying. And you can't do recovery if you're not creating new ideas that can help economies to be a lot more productive. So that's why I think you're not going to see much of the effect. You can also look at data. I think data is already out there that is showing that the impact on Africa is not as deep as people were expecting it to be. Startups are still raising money, but what they're raising money for will probably change. We may start to see more focus on education because with the current economic downturn, there's also a problem of talent. The global resignation is a big deal where people are leaving their companies. So there's a need for talent all over the world, and Africa can play a major role in that. India is already playing a major role. So you may see more funding to education, innovation, and startups in Africa. Public health is another one. The scare from COVID-19 shows that countries with weak public health system needs to be funded. So the world is quite aware of that. So you also see some progress around that with people getting funded as well. So that would be my take, that it will be hard initially, and we've seen some of it. It will dry out. Companies will need to be a lot more conscious of how they spend their money. You may see in the media that a few companies are, reducing their staff strength. Some of those reductions are just immediate activities to manage the shock. But I don't reckon that it's going to be a long-term issue for the ecosystem.
Last question. I find that oftentimes with funding, we get a lot of money from outside the country, foreigners funding, but we don't have like black Africans funding. Why is this?
I think the biggest answer to it is that Africa is just getting used to funding startups and technology. And people with money, they're not out there to take a bet on things they don't know. They're always very conservative. So if you know someone that has always been used to investing in real estate, they know how to invest their money in a property. They know that the property is going to be there. Even if it's not appreciating in value for a few years, it will come back and appreciate, right? So people are used to what they invest in. A lot of the investors locally needs a lot of education. As I was saying on stage, 8 years ago, we couldn't raise any money in Nigeria, but today you have a bigger pool of local investors, angel investors, people that are investing anywhere from $5 to $100,000 US. We're even seeing some investing up to millions who are local money, not foreign money. But we still don't have a good size of them. So I think that will continue to change as you see more and more local startups becoming successful. Paystack was a big news for so many people because a lot of those who put money in Paystack were able to make money out of it, So that was a big example. As we see more Paystack, you're going to see confidence in local money to invest in startup. And it's a matter of time. It's just a journey.
We're good.
Almost about 50% to economists. So they are very key to us. They are very important to us. With you, we know that we will go places as a nation. I said Google has changed the world. Google has changed my own life. Before the world of Google exploded, in Nigeria, you know how we do when we go to places we don't know. You drive, you are going to Maitama, for instance, and you don't know the place in Maitama that you are going to, you can locate it. What do you do? What do you do in those days? You don't ask. You just look for one Okada and give him and say, take me there. And the Okada will take you. When you get there, you give him 200 naira. That was. But today we don't. Today, wherever I am going, whether in this world or outside this world, I ask Google. Through the map, Google will take me and say, turn your left, turn your right. Now after 100 meters, your destination will be to your left. That's innovation that can only come from people like you. It's startups like this that developed it everywhere. So Nigeria has an opportunity right now. I used to tell this story. When I was in school, undergraduate, usually some of us don't come back the first day because there are certain things that we need to finish. And by the time you get back in the evening, by the time you get back to school after some 4 or 5 days, you go to the library, you only see charts there. People that borrowed the books and taken it from engineering to history. So it's for them forever. But today, every one of us have the same access to information. I don't even need dictionary anymore. Google has provided everything, even for spiritual life. All I need to, I want to teach on love. I just type love, and many things will come out for love. And I pick the ones that I need to use, and I use them. Before now, it wouldn't be so. Before now, for you to come and attend this event and make submissions in this event, you will need to go to a library, and you will see and put them there. But Google changed all that. Telling him that before now, if I have to listen to Obama speak, I will need to go to a conference where Obama is invited to speak. Well, right now, in my house, I said, I want the best speeches on innovation. And all of them will rush out and will select the one that I want. And I will listen in the same video. I will listen to Obama. I will listen to Jeff, whatever. I will listen to Jack Ma. I will listen to all of them. And I'm listening to Mitchell. So I pick what I want from each of them. If I needed to do that before, I would travel to the event where Obama is, travel to the one where Jeff is, travel to the now today. Google changed our lives. Google has provided the opportunity for us to, I'll say, people say our market is the largest in Africa, 200 million. I said, these guys don't even know what I'm talking about. My market is 7 billion, not 200 million. I was reading, and they said most Africans now work for multinationals in their place. People in Kenya stay in Kenya and work for Google in US. Those are the opportunities that Google has provided for the world. Our ministry, headed by the Honorable Minister, Professor Ali Ibrahim Atta, developed something that I think will change Nigeria, and that is NDES. The first pillar of NDES is developmental regulation, and the description is regulations are we must stifle. Because I am a regulator, what I say as a regulator from the law becomes law. So there are certain regulations that will put in place that will kill these startup ideas. So what we're doing is to make light touch regulation to ensure that these people and people coming after them will exercise their freedom. It's through freedom that things are developed. When I was in the industry, one of the things that happen is that people don't want you to use something that you have not used before because they fear when you use it, you might spoil it. My chief executive will go to US, buy something like spectrum analyzer that we have never used. He said, take, go and Okoro it. Do whatever you like. If you spoil it, we will repair it. Use it. That is what regulation is about. So the chief executive said we can do anything that we like with that equipment, and what that means is that we are not scared to do anything. And at the end of the day, we will understand that device more than the people that actually made it. So that is what the NCC promises regulation that will give you freedom to exercise and to bring to life what you have within you. I am really not very happy with this black, front black. I rather like to see front Africa. We are Africa, we are Africans, we are not black. Black connotes white man and the black man. White man is favored. So we are trying to do black so that we can match. No, we are doing Africa. So with the enders, what we need to be what you are and where you are going to are policies and regulations to support you. One of the pillars talks about training, digital skills, and is that to give policy backing to massive training. So when I look right, left, center, whether it is infrastructure or it is digital skills and entrepreneurship, or it is whatever it is, training is what it needs, training and funding. And when you go for some events, they will tell you funding is not first. It's like when you have the good idea, funds will rush after it. If you have sweet thing, what do you have? You have ants coming. John the Baptist, John the Baptist.
Mandate of our ministry to cover digital economy and the policy, the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria, which outlined 8 strategic pillars which are key to the ecosystem. And also they are all related to the intervention this funding is going to help to achieve in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. And also, just of recent, the National Assembly has passed the Nigerian Startup Bill into law. The bill is to help you enable to help come up with a legal and institutional framework that will enable you to easily, quickly, and conveniently start and grow your business in the country. Because part of the challenge is legal backing. How can you start and grow business in Africa is a big challenge. But with this kind of law, it will make it easier for you to start. In addition to that, there are other initiatives we are working on. Like I was having a side chat with Bosun Tijani on a project we are working on, talent gap assessment, because we believe talent is the people side of technology. And in Africa, we cannot compete with the rest of the world in terms of hardware and any technology that needs infrastructure investment. But when it comes to talent, we have a competitive edge over the rest of the world. We have one of the youngest population and the fast growing population. So this is an opportunity for us. If we harness well, we can position ourselves to be leader in that area. And according to many research, by 2030 there is going to be a global talent shortage. So if Nigeria and Africa position ourselves, we can bridge this gap. Then from your on-site as a startups, my advice to you also is, this is a product business. You need to look at what kind of products do you need to bring to the market, having in mind that The technology is making things easier and possible. And also the customer's demand is changing always. That's why if you look at novel strategy today can quickly become a table stake. What help you to succeed today will not help you to succeed tomorrow. So you need to look at what are the unmet needs in the society, which we have many in Africa. So explore that. It will be easier for you to meet and close that gap than the big organizations. Because most of the big organizations, they are not agile and they build themselves to do what they do better. As the customers need changes, you will be in a better position to quickly come up with a solution to bridge that gap. So in Africa, we have a lot of challenges, which if you can explore, you can do a lot of things in that area. And also, let's look at incubating tomorrow's business. Don't waste your time on what is happening today. What is happening today, the product that is selling today, maybe by tomorrow will not be relevant. So look at emerging technologies. What can you use that emerging technology to change the way we do things in this world? And also try and turn your products into a service, because the world is moving to a service, a platform market. You will make more money in that area than products. So it is easier to provide a service. In Africa, because of our challenge in the side of infrastructure, it's easier to provide services than products. So let us explore that. That will help you to excel. And the government also is ready to partner with people like organizations like Google, and also the ecosystem in general. Because we look at the 5 key critical stakeholders we need to have on board to build a strong ecosystems are you, the entrepreneurs. We need the higher institutions. That higher institution can be any human capital development institutions, because technology business is about talent. Then we need the corporate organizations that will absorb your products, or that can absorb the human capitals. And we need the government. The government role is basically in the policy making. But government intervene in a situation whereby there is shortage in unserved and underserved areas. And this is why the government came up with the startup bill, which is also going to come up with a seed funding that can help with early stage funding as well. So we thank Google for this opportunity. We also encourage other multinationals also to look at how they can help the African startup ecosystem with funding, because the more the merrier, because it's going to be a win-win situation. The more startups we have in Africa, the more digital offerings they will create, the more market for you also. So it's going to be a win-win for the multinationals and the Africa in general, because Africa is going to be the strongest market for digital services. Thank you once again, and we wish you the best.